Section 3.2, homework problems number 5 and number 6. So in number 5, they ask us to give an example. So you can use numbers of arithmetic problem that can be made easy. So make sure your problem will make it easy to solve mentally by using the associative property of addition and write equations. And number 6, it's pretty much the same thing, except that this time they want to use the commutative property. So first of all, you need to know these two properties, you know the differences. So again, associative property, you are adding 3 numbers, not two numbers. So you have 3, so something plus something plus something. The number in the middle, I guess I'm going to call it the first number and the second number and the third number. The second number in the middle, you can add it with the first number, or you can add it with the third number first. So there are 2 ways you could do. Either way will give you this answer. If you follow the orders, add the second with the first, and then add the third, that will give you the correct answer. But you could also, so I'm going to change it here, equals first plus the second plus the third. But this time we're going to add the second with the third. And then after we get the answer, we add the first to it. And notice the order doesn't change of the numbers. First, second, third, first, second, third. What changes is the parentheses, or who do you associate, which number you associate with the second one in the middle. Okay. So this property, in general, we can use letters like say A plus B plus C equals A plus B plus C. Notice that A means the represents the first number, B represents the second, and C represents the third. So the second number, you can either add it to the first or add it to the third first, and then you add the other one. Okay, so this is called associative property. And so the example you give, again, in general, you could use any numbers. So for example, I can do like 1 plus 2 plus 3, and then equals 1 plus 2 plus 3. But this is not a good example to use the it is associative property, but it doesn't, when you use the property, it doesn't seem like you make the problem any easier to solve. So I'm going to show you here. Because in the past, I had students who did this, say, okay, let's say 23 plus 41 and plus maybe 15. And okay, so you can add the first 2, or you could add 41 plus 15. And this is associative property, but if you compare both methods, either the first way, you got, okay, 64 here plus 15, which gives you 79, or the second method, which you will have to do 23, leave 23 alone, add 41 to 15, which gives you 56. 23 plus 56 gives you 79. But to be honest, these 2 methods, you can tell, none of them is any easier than the other. It's not like, okay, by doing this way or that way, it's about the same. So this is not a good example, okay? It is using the associative property, but not a very good example, okay? So don't use examples like that. Not a good example. So what is a good example? Because they specified when after you use the associative property, it's actually much easier. Because after I use the property, it didn't seem like it's any easier. So if you look at my example, 376 plus 199. Or actually, you probably, if you don't even write this first step, it will be okay. So if I have a problem, 375 plus 1 plus 199, if I follow the order, I'm supposed to do 375 plus 1, which gives me 376. And then I have to add 376 to 199. And that's not very easy to do, right? But what we can do is, so I am going to use the associative property. I'm not going to add 1 to the first number. I'm going to add 1 to the last number, so which you can see here. I'm going to add 1 to 199. And because 1 plus 199 gives us a very good number, which is 200. And when we add 200 to 375, It's very easy to do because of these zeros. So you just bring down 7 and 5. All you have to add is 2 and 3. So this is a good example of that we can simplify the problem. We can make the problem much easier to solve by using the associative property. And if you do use numbers, random numbers like this, they don't really make, either way, it's about the same. Okay, so let's try not to use these examples. And so the good tip is you want to, like the second number and third number you pick, you want to make sure they add up to like either tens or 20s, like hundreds. So you get an easy number like that. Okay, so that's number 5. Now number 6, this time we just need to use the commutative property. So commutative property, you got to switch the numbers. So for example, the first number plus the second number, you will switch them to first number plus second number. So you have to switch them. So in general, it's like A plus B equals B plus C. You can see the two numbers, the positions are switched. Okay, so let's look at my example right here. So originally we're supposed to do this question 198 plus 357 plus 2. For commutative property, you can still have 3 numbers. But when we apply the property, you just apply the property on 2 of them. Okay. So for example, I'm supposed to, in this problem, I actually use the both properties, the associative and the commutative property, but so to make it a little easier, so I am gonna change this slightly here. Actually, we cannot avoid using the associative properties. I'm just gonna use this example here to explain. So when we add these numbers, if we follow the order of operations, we're gonna have to add 198 and 357. It's not something we can do very quickly mentally, but notice there's a number 2 right here. If we can add 198 and 2 together, we're going to get 200. Now we can add a 200 to 357. So this is what we're going to do. But right now, normally we just do this in our mind. Say 198 plus 2 and then add 350 without realizing that we are using the commutative property. So what we actually did was this. So we switch 357 and 2, these two numbers, and then technically there's associative property involved, so we try to add these two, but when we add these two, we switch them, switch 2 and 357. So once we switch the numbers, it's called a commutative property. So this step from here to here, we use the commutative property. And then we did I skipped a step here. We're going to apply the associative property to add 198 and a 2 together instead of 2 and a 357. And 198 plus 2 gives us 200, and plus 357, that gives us 557.